Hello everyone. In this video, I will talk about hosted RPA in Power Automate. As part of the agenda, we will briefly touch upon the introduction of hosted RPA, and then I'll walk you through of end-to-end lifecycle demonstration of setting up your hosted RPA, followed by a demo showcasing the hosted RPA capability in Power Automate. The challenges with current RPA bot infrastructure are multifaceted. One of the main challenges faced by many organizations is the long approval cycles and costly deployment and maintenance of infrastructure for the RPA automations, which can actually hinder the adoption and efficient implementation of RPA at many of the organizations. Another key challenge facing RPA practitioners is adjusting this broad infrastructure to the changing business needs. If you were to over provision this broad infrastructure, which leads to poor machine utilization, and if you were to under provision, then that creates the risk of not meeting business SLAs. The introduction of Microsoft Power Automate hosted machine and hosted machine groups aims to address these challenges by handling every aspect of machine management, enabling the auto scaling of the unattended bots that are available within minutes, thus allowing the organizations to focus their time where it's needed the most. To simplify the bot infrastructure needed for makers and Automation Center of Excellence teams, Microsoft Power Automate has two offerings. One is the hosted machine, the other one is the hosted machine group. Hosted machine is best suited for development and testing of automations, ideal for attended and unattended run modes. Hosted machine group is aimed to run unattended automations without any human intervention in a production environment. Hosted machine group also supports auto-scaling of the bots to maximize the compute infrastructure and also dynamically perform workload balancing of RPA automations. Now, let's jump into talk about the end-to-end lifecycle demonstration of hosted RPA. Here, you will see 5 activities that make up the end-to-end lifecycle of running your RPA automations in a hosted RPA setting. In the acquire activity, I'll present the type of license that is required for Microsoft Power Automate hosted RPA. In the assign, I will show you how to assign the acquire licenses to the Power Platform environments. Under provision, I'll present the required settings to look at Power Platform Admin Center and the Power Platform Power Automate portal, and also cover the patterns for hosted RPA. As part of monitor, I'll show you the available options to efficiently monitor the automations running on hosted RPA. Finally, for operate, I'll present ways to efficiently operate your hosted RPA. The license that is required to run the Microsoft Power Automate hosted RPA is called the Power Automate hosted process. That's the license that is required for you to run the automations in a Microsoft hosted RPA infrastructure. It is a superset of the Power Automate process where it includes the Microsoft hosted virtual machine along with the capability to run automations in an unattended manner. Assigning the Power Automate hosted process requires you to navigate to the capacity section under resources in Power Platform Admin Center. Under add-ons tab, once you identify the Power Platform environment, assign the Power Automate hosted process capacity based on the tenant level availability. Under provisioning, let's see what you need to do before you actually provision the hosted RPA. We need to validate a few settings on the Power Platform Admin Center. There are 2 things that you need to ensure that the hosted RPA settings are turned on. One is the enabling the hosted machine groups. The other one is the enabling the hosted machines. Another aspect to consider is the geographic region availability for hosted RPA. Here is the snapshot at the time of this video, but check the MS Learn documentation of latest updates on this. As we provision hosted machine groups, we will see this bot configuration setting. The max bot refers to the maximum number of bots allocated to a host machine group, and capacity bot setting, or the committed bot setting in this case, guarantees the minimum number of bots allocated to a hosted machine group. Let me talk about this in a brief example. Let's say you have in your tenant acquired 10 hosted RPA licenses. of which you have assigned 8 of them to an environment where you are running automations in that hosted RPA environment, right? And 3 of them could be assigned to hosted machines, hosted machine number 1, 2, and 3. And remaining 5 you assign to a hosted machine group. And that becomes the maximum number of bots that have been assigned to this, out of which you can set up the committed number of bots to be 2, where it ensures that there are at least 2 bots that are available, are 2 virtual machines that are always available to run the automations in this particular hosted machine group. Okay, let's look at some of the patterns that I have crafted for the hosted RPA in Microsoft Power Automate. The top 4 represent the hosted machine specific pattern. There are 3 different variations that you can think of for hosted machines as well as the hosted machine groups. It's the usage of default image or the custom golden VM image that you can bring to the hosted RPA offering. And another aspect is the enabling the VNet connection to allow for on-prem access for your applications as well as the data. Based on those 3 factors, these patterns are defined as a hosted machine DI, that means hosted machine with a default image, or HMCI, which is hosted machine with a custom VM image, or HMDI VN, which is the hosted machine default image with VNet capability. And similarly, hosted machine CI VN, referring to the hosted machine with a custom VM image along with the VNet connection that will allow for on-premise data access. Moving on to the hosted machine groups, it follows the same pattern with the default image and the custom image as well as the VNet capability. So let's jump into the demo in terms of how some of these patterns that we can provision. Okay, as we jump into the Power Automate hosted RPA demo, let's look at some of the patterns that we will go ahead and provide the demo. The first pattern is the hosted machine group DI, which is targeting the hosted machine group with a default image. Let's see how that looks. Here's a Power Platform environment where your environment is set up to run a hosted machine group with the acquired licenses as well as the ensure that you have the assignment correctly done to the environment. Once you do that, you'll be able to go ahead and create a hosted machine group with the Microsoft provided default image. In this demo, I will walk you through in terms of how you can actually set up a hosted machine group with the Power Automate default VM image. Let's get on to make.powerautomate.com, and then on the left navigation menu, click on Machines. Once you're there, you can select the new hosted machine group. Provide a name to that as hosted machine group default image. HMG DI is the pattern that we've discussed before. Next, and this is where the maximum number of bots and the committed number of bots come into play. Maximum number of bots are, you can select how many number of bots that you want to allocate for this hosted machine group itself. And the committed number of bots you can select to the bare minimum number of bots that you always want to have available for this hosted machine group. I've selected 5 as the maximum number of bots and 2 as the committed number of bots. Next, and I'll select the default Windows desktop image here, and then click Next. Use this as the hosted RPA user 1, and then password. Okay, next, and then create. Once you hit create, the hosted machine group is being provisioned. It will take a few moments, and let's wait for it to be provisioned. Okay, after a few moments, we have our hosted machine group ready to use. So in this case, you can definitely run your RPA workloads on this hosted machine group using the hosted RPA capability within the Power Automate. Okay, let's get into the demo of hosted machines group with a custom image. Okay, one of the patterns that we've talked about previously is the hosted machine group with custom golden image. Here's a overview of how this is all set up. As you can see on the right, you have the Azure Compute Gallery that will contain the image definition as well as the image version. In this demo, I will focus on creating a custom VM image source from the managed OS and the data disks. There are various ways you can get the VM image source from. For this demo purposes, I will focus on creating that image source from a OS disk. Let's jump into the demo. Okay, the first step in creating the Azure Compute Gallery is to provide your Azure subscription and then a resource group. For this instance, we'll create a new resource group called as Azure Compute Gallery for Hosted RPA and then resource group. And then you can provide your name for Azure Compute Gallery. I will just call it as Azure Compute Gallery Hosted RPA. Okay, so it doesn't take it. Let's change it to ACG Hosted RPA, and it's important to select the region as US East. If you look through the requirements section for the availability zones and the regions for hosted machine groups, for US based region, East is the required region. I'll provide Hosted RPA, Azure Compute Gallery for Hosted RPA, and then I'll just create one. Okay, once you hit create button, it will start creating the resource. Okay, after a few seconds, the resource has been created. Let's go check out the resource. Here you go. We have the resource created with our name, the region, and the subscription that it has. Thank you. Let's create a virtual machine to source our OS image for the custom VM image definition as well as the version. We'll create a Azure virtual machine here. Let's select the resource group that we previously created, and then the image name, make sure the region is East, and then the security type should be trusted, and then you can select the Windows version here, and then the size of the machine to enable the hibernation option being selected. Provide the username and password for the admin account. Since we are just going to do that, we'll create. Okay, we'll hit create, and the resource is being created. Okay, the VM has been created. Let's go to the VM location here. As you can see, the location is the East region, and everything else is as expected. Let's go to creating. Okay, let's go about creating the VM image. Okay, imagine this is your golden image. Let's go ahead and create a VM image version for this. All right, everything else remains the same. You can provide your version number. Here is where we select our Azure Compute Gallery, and since we don't have any image definition, we can go ahead and create one. Here we can provide the name as Hosted RPA image definition. If you wanted to provide this as RPA, let's copy that. Okay. Once the definition is created here, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a VM image version for this. Okay, validation has been passed. We'll provide. Okay, the deployment of the image version is in progress. Let's wait for a few minutes, a few seconds, to ensure that this is created successfully. Okay, our image version has been created. Let's go quickly check on how our compute gallery looks and also the definition. Okay, here we go. Here's our compute gallery. We have our ACG compute gallery. You can see the hosted VM image definition has been created, and along with it, we have the latest version. So now let's get on to the next steps. Okay, to allow the Power Automate portal to access this VM image as well as the image version as well as the definition, we need to allow the Power Automate hosted machine group. Let's go ahead and create the role assignment as the reader, and we can select the members as Power Automate hosted machine groups. Select it. You can review and assign. Go. Let's quickly check on the role assignment. As you can see here, we have the Windows hosted machines group is already added as the reader. Okay. Let's go ahead and create a hosted machine group by logging into make.powerautomate.com. Let's click on the left side navigation menu, click machines, and then select the new hosted machine group. Here, I'm going to give it as HMG1 hosted RPA machine group. Next, and click next, and select your maximum number of bots here, as we have talked about before. And here, this is where the custom VM image will show up. Here you can call it as HMG VM1 hosted RPA VM image for HMG machine group. Select this is the Azure Compute Gallery that we have created before, and then we hit create. As you can see here, we select the custom VM image and click next. Okay. Okay, we'll create the user here, user RPA user1, and the password. And click next. And we'll hit create. Excellent. So now we can see that the hosted machine group is being provisioned, and we're all set to run some automations on this hosted RPA for using the hosted machine groups. Now that we have created the hosted RPA machine groups and running the automations for a while, let's see what options do we have to efficiently monitor these automations and the hosted machine groups. First, we can check out the machine group run queue to assess how our hosted machine groups are performing and which automations are being running. And the next option is to check out the desktop flow runs, where each individual desktop flow run details are captured. The way to navigate to this is to go to Power Automate portal, and under monitor section, you click on the desktop flow run to view the active desktop flow runs. The new capability that was introduced, the Automation Center, is a great way to get a overarching view of all the automations that are running within your organization. And to better understand the capacity that we have assigned to these hosted machine groups, we can leverage the capacity utilization to get a sense of how many of the active bots are being leveraged against the committed bots that we have assigned to a particular hosted machine group. Without further ado, let's see how this all looks and feel in the Power Automate portal. Okay, here we are at the Power Automate portal. First of all, I'm going to quickly go discover all. Under the monitor section, I click on machines. This will take me to this particular plane, and I will select the tab machine group. Under machines group, this is the hosted machine group that we have created. The overview page of the hosted machine group shows you the machine group details, type of the image that we have used, and some additional details, right? So in order to see what is currently running under this hosted machine group, you click on the run queue. Run queue shows you the actively running automations that are on this. If you want to consistently get the refresh, you turn on the auto refresh to get you updated information. And from here, we can go to desktop flow runs. The desktop flow runs can be accessed directly from here. If you click on see all runs, it will take you there. Or you can go to monitor under here, and the desktop flow runs action will take you to all the desktop flow runs that are currently running and that have run successfully. Or if there are any errors, you'll be able to see it from here. Okay, so now these two, let's see how the new capability of Automation Center will look. Click on more, discover all. Under the monitor section, you see the Automation Center. Automation Center, like I said before, is a central place to look at all automations that are running within the environment. Particularly, we are interested in few things. First things are the runs. You can check out the active runs that are being run. You can filter a few things here by the date, the number of when the particular run was run. You have a lot of options here, and the type of the cloud flows. You select and filter by a cloud flow, and also the run statuses, right? So if you see if there is anything that failed or canceled, you can filter those accordingly. And another cool aspect that I want to highlight here is the work queues. Work queue distribution and work queue volumes and the runs, which work queue and the duration and the average handling time for a particular work queue are all displayed and visible here. One particular thing that I would love to show you about is the work queue handling by processor. This is where our hosted machine group has been running. As you can see, the individual machines that are created as part of the hosted machine group are being handled, right? So you can see how many of those items have been processed by these individual machines under a hosted machine group. That's the hosted machine group, and let's see how our capacity utilization look like. For the capacity utilization, you go to the same way, navigate to Power Automate portal. Under monitor section, you will see the capacity utilization. Once you're in the capacity utilization, you will see the process and unattended RPA capacity view, but we are interested to learn more about the hosted process capacity overview here. So you click on here, it will take you to this page where it contains the hosted machines and the hosted machine groups. Since for our demo, we are more interested to learn about the hosted machine groups, we can check out here, right? See how it has displayed the number of maximum bots and the committed bots and the active bots that are actively running on this. It actually shows you how the capacity is panning against what is available for you. If there is anything that is requiring your attention, all of that information will be shown here. Okay, so we have created the hosted machine groups and we have leveraged the automations to be running on those hosted machines group through the monitoring aspect of it. Now let's understand how we can actually efficiently run these in a continual basis. One key thing that we need to do is sometimes we need to update the machine through the VM image or some sort of a maintenance work that can be performed. For that, you can leverage the maintenance mode that is available as part of the hosted machine and the hosted machine groups. Okay, let's see how we can actually set a hosted machine group into a maintenance mode. Discover, click on Discover in the Power Automate portal and go to Machines. And under the machine group, select the hosted machine group that we are interested in. Once you are there, click on Settings. This particular option will show you the Enable Maintenance Mode. Once you're ready to turn this on, you will get a information message saying that what it will do is this particular option will cancel any incoming activity and machines won't be used for any active desktop flow running. Another aspect of maintenance and the efficient operation of the hosted machines and the hosted machines group is the updating the custom golden VM images that these hosted machines and hosted machine groups can run from. So there are few aspects that you need to consider. One of the best practices that is available as part of the Azure's Architecture Center is the golden image publishing process. So this particular process allows you to maintain the custom golden VM image in an updated manner and making sure that the security and the compliance that are pertaining to your organization are up to date. So one way to do this is to keep your base image or the golden image and update it with your VM image builder to infuse the customizations into that particular image as part of step 2 here. And for step 3, you can apply any of the signatures or tattoos that are required for that particular golden image and run through those as part of step 4 or some automated validation tasks on that particular image. Once all of the if for any reason, if they fail, you send it back to the image builder again to ensure that all of those issues are resolved. Until once the validation step passes, that's when you push the image version into the Azure Compute Gallery. So this allows you to have, in a cyclic manner, the latest golden image for a hosted machine or a hosted machine group available within the Power Automate portal. Let's see how you can actually update a underlying VM image within the Power Automate portal. Okay, once you have navigated to the Power Automate portal, hit on Discover All under the Monitor section. Let's go to Machines. For the machines, we are interested in the machine group. Select the hosted machine group that we wanted to update our particular VM image. Click on the Update VM image icon there, and once you do that, it will bring up the available VM images for us to update this. As you can see here, we are updating from HMG VM1 to HMG VM2. Once you click update, what it will do is it will update the underlying VM image that this particular hosted machine group is going to be running for all the individual machines that will be provisioned using this VM image. Alright, so far we have seen the end-to-end lifecycle of hosted RPA and how you can actually go from acquisition of the hosted RPA processes to automating the operations side of it to support your automations in an efficient manner. Finally, I want to talk about the benefits of hosted RPA that are going to help accelerate the deployment of your RPA infrastructure within minutes to enable your not only decision makers but your automation center of excellences to build, test, and deploy automations in a rapid manner. Business continuity is another aspect of it where hosted RPA excels due to its auto scale and dynamic workload management to meet the seasonal demand spikes that are put forth by various business operations and process needs. Finally, Power Automate hosted RPA comes with streamlined operations to easily manage the end-to-end lifecycle, but also simplify the governance of the VM infrastructure. With that said, That's the end of this video. Thank you very much. Happy automating.